Hey, Tim.
Hey, Greg.
How's it going?
Fantastic.
Nice. So, we kind of got full last episode because we were talking about all 80's food, and we figured we would just pick it up later. You got time now?
Yeah, I think we've still got some great stuff to get through, and, I am amazed at some of this stuff that I had forgotten about and how fun it is to go back and talk about it. So
It's great. If you're looking for nostalgia, this is the episode.
Yeah, and food's where it's at.
How about the push pop?
I remember them.
Yeah.
It was not like one of my favorites, though.
I just remember it came out, and it was kind of cool that you could have like a lollipop that you could
Save for later.
Save for later. It came a little top that came on, and it even was like a pen. It had like a little clip.
Yeah, a little clip on it. Yeah. I remember them, having, occasionally having one, but
Yeah.
Given the option for like some chocolate or something else, I think I went for that before the lollipop.
Yeah.
And Warheads, I feel like that was like a brief moment where that was like the it thing.
Everybody wanted to see how many they could eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fun. It's a good time.
I'm sure they make those.
Yeah. I think so many of these things, if they did stop making them for a while, they've kind of come back, and they're trying to capitalize on us.
Yes.
Yeah. Gen Xers looking to
50
relive.
50-year-olds don't need to be eating push pops. Now, the one on the right, I was like, I remember this. I like when we started coming up with this idea, I was like, I totally remember this. And do you remember the gum with the liquid in the center?
Oh, yeah. And one of the ones that I pulled, when we started this was they made soda specific ones. So there was Dr. Pepper gum.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there was like A&W root beer.
I forgot about the Dr. Pepper one. Yes.
But the Freshen Up was probably the one that was more accessible.
Yeah.
It was, every grocery store or whatever would have it at the checkout.
Yeah.
And just that like momentary little bit of like, liquid sugar, whatever the heck it was magical for that, 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
It was like that, and I didn't put this on the list, the striped gum. What was that? The zebra?
Oh, Fruit Stripes?
Fruit Stripes.
Yeah.
The best 5 seconds of flavor you've ever had in your life.
Yeah. And then pure sadness for the remainder of the time you kept it in your mouth.
The pure sadness, yes.
Yeah. And what's crazy is back then you'd get 5 pieces.
Yeah.
You could exhaust a pack of gum in about 30 seconds because you'd be like, you know what? I want that deliciousness back. It's gone. Yeah.
No wonder why there was a crack epidemic in the 80s.
Seriously. That's funny. And then, of course, on gum, there was a ton of fun options, between your Hubba Bubba and Bubblicious.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the genius who came up with Big League Chew. And then they had a whole website about the history. It might be worth an episode in the future about like what happened. But I mean, just fantastic. The sit there in the dugout during a 8-inning little league game. You're just like stuffing it in your mouth, and it's just it's just wonderful. Yeah. And I think as a kid, I kind of became a connoisseur of gum because I really loved blowing bubbles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was like a thing. Like one summer, I was like, I'm going to learn how to blow, bubbles with gum. And then you quickly realize like some bubble gum is not like the rest.
That is so true.
And the first time you blow a bubble and it sticks to your entire face and does not come off, like, wait a second, what's going on here? And then you realize like bubble yum is like plastic, basically. It does not stick to anything.
Yes.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the threats that if you swallow the gum, it's going to accumulate in your appendix and one day you're going to have your appendix burst. It's all going to be bubble gum.
Well, as a little kid, some kid told me that if you swallow a watermelon seed, it'll get stuck in your intestines and you'll grow a watermelon and you'll die. Yeah. And so I was so scared of swallowing watermelon seeds forever.
That's funny. Greg, I have something for you. I have some watermelon.
I would sit there as a little kid, because go to visit my grandparents in Florida, and they'd always have fruit for dessert, right?
Yeah.
And I'd sit there and I'd be picking out every seed from the watermelon, and my grandfather was having none of it and yelling at me, "Wait, they're not going to hurt you." Like, you can't. It'll get in my stomach and I'll die.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I feel like, obviously, genetics have changed over the years, but I feel like when we were kids, like watermelon, it was just all seeds.
Yes.
There was like that ring and they were all dark black.
Easy to pick out, at least.
True. And now it's like you cut a watermelon, there's like these translucent mini seeds, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing to watermelons, but it's definitely different.
It's definitely not seedless.
Yeah.
Seedless might.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's still seeds in there.
Yeah.
Liars. All right, what do you got?
Okay, so this, I put this in just because I hated this.
Oh gosh, I hate it too, Tim.
But it was, I don't know, it seemed like it happened more often than it should have. For dinner, we would have stuffed peppers.
Who invented it? I'd like to keep.
And what's crazy is like the core of it, it's just basically like ground beef and rice, which is, it's not bad.
Yeah.
But put it in a overly baked green pepper, and that just makes a kid want nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it, yeah. Well, and then, of course, stuffed pieces of pepper in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was not a favorite.
No, not at all. And it just not something I was digging. And it's just like, and then, no.
So I feel like often because of our protesting, my mom would resort to making us English muffin pizzas.
Yes.
And I feel like we had those a lot. Yeah, but that was always good. And it was simple, easy, just a little tomato sauce, a little mozzarella on a toasted English muffin.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
The food at college was so bad that we resorted to that many nights.
Yeah.
Between the Doritos and making yourself an English muffin pizza.
Yeah.
That was about what we lived on.
I do feel like it was probably like first couple of years out of college when I would, I was making okay money, but I wasn't, blowing the doors off of anything. And I'd get a little thin towards the end of the month. I'd use like American cheese, and it's just not the same.
It's not the same.
Not the same at all. Yeah. It was a much better choice than the stuffed pepper.
American cheese and ketchup.
Yeah, really. But then there was also the king of all pizza,
so good.
Ilio's pizza.
Loved Ilio's.
You had the 3 slices. Usually, I guess it was three of the 3 slice stacks in the box. And I just assumed it came out when we were maybe early teens.
I remember like 13, 14.
I did a quick little deep dive on Ilio's. It goes all the way back to like 1963.
Really?
Yeah. So it was 3 guys that came up with this idea. They blended their names together to come up with the name Ilio's.
Oh, really?
And I guess it became a thing in schools because it was square. I guess it fit in the trays. And so they kind of got their start with schools.
Oh.
And then they go on to like speculate that like the astronauts took some into space and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. That seemed like just kind of being silly.
Oh, okay.
That it didn't actually make it up for the lunar landing. But yeah, like it's amazing how long it's been.
62?
63.
63? Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. And it had its bunch of years in our house. That was like, if we had nothing else, you could always count on a box of Ilio's in the freezer. So.
Well, I still get it every once in a great while myself.
Yeah. I haven't had it in a long time, but I always felt like the longer we had it, I was like, it's a little light on cheese. And so my mom would get like the shredded mozzarella.
Oh, nice.
We'd throw a little extra on there.
Stiff. Yeah. I will say, though, we got it recently. Not recently, but, a couple years ago. You never know, is it your nostalgia? Is it your being a kid? Like, it wasn't as good as I recalled it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why that was. But
And then, that we always had. But every once in a great while, we would get the Stouffer's deep dish. Do you remember that?
No.
So this was like, it was, I don't know, it was probably like an inch thick bread or, crust or whatever.
Okay.
But it almost seemed like they took like a hoagie roll and cut it in half.
Ooh.
And then sauce and cheese. And again, it was one of those things that had to cook for 2 days. It was 1,000 degrees. And you'd just be like, oh, it's so good. And you'd peel the top layer of the skin off the roof of your mouth. But yeah, Stouffer's deep dish was a fun occasional treat that we would get.
All right. Now that sounds good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But
nice.
I'm sure if I got it today, I'd be like, nah.
Yeah.
But
I think that, you just get nostalgia for that fun stuff that comes out, and and it was new and it was exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of jumping around, but
yeah,
I think I mentioned once before that there was a summer where my neighbor would get Captain Crunch because there was like, Captain Crunch was giving, in my memory, it was an actual arcade cabinet of like Frogger or something like that.
Okay.
I tried to find something, that somebody still had a box from it. I couldn't find it, but I did find that they had a competition, or a contest rather, and it was win one of 5,000 Atari consoles.
Wow.
So maybe Big that's deal. What it was. I don't know.
Okay.
I thought it was a full cabinet, but it was kind of cool to see that was, true.
Space Invaders.
Yeah. One of their ways of getting kids to eat way more Captain Crunch than they probably should.
No, we don't really give our kids sugary cereal. Or well, they're older now, like whatever. But like when they're little, but every once in a while they got like their choice. Mm-hmm. And Captain Crunch, king of the they always say to this day that's the best. That's their favorite of all. Was that your favorite, Captain Crunch?
Well, it was like forbidden fruit for us because my parents, they didn't get us the super sugary cereals either. But my neighbor.
Oh, so
we'd go over there and, during the summer and we'd just eat Captain Crunch all the time.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like we had Raisin Bran and like grape nuts.
Oh, okay.
I Crispix. Do you remember Crispix?
I do. I mean, the name of it sounds familiar.
There was a period of time where we did get Frosted Flakes, but again, it was like we'd get a box and when they were gone, we wouldn't see, we wouldn't see Tony for a while. But yeah, Crispix. And I feel like Chex. Remember Chex cereal?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I like the corn Chex and my brother liked the wheat Chex.
Oh, I never realized there is two different. Yeah.
I think the corn Chex were in a yellow box and the wheat Chex were in a red box. And then Crispix was corn on one side, wheat on the other. So that was like, my parents were like, probably we only had one box. We're good.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But I do feel like that joy of digging through the box to find whatever
great
thing was in there was so good.
I absolutely loved it. You know, whatever stupid thing you happen to get, it was great. It was fantastic.
Yeah. One baseball card that was made by some random company and
and you never got a good player. You got some random player you never heard of. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember I for a little while my parents did get me Frosted Flakes and I got hooked. I mean, it's to this day, that's what I'll go for. And I don't know if they I might have mentioned this before, but oh my gosh, Frosted Cheerios? I don't think they make it anymore, but that was fantastic.
Yeah.
I got to see if they still make that maybe somewhere. China or something.
I'm sure. Now, we did talk a little bit about ice cream, but there were some other great after dinner treats that were made.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. One that I think is on every Gen Xer list. Jello Pudding Pops.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, were they the best?
Oh, they were so good.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, we would tear through a box in like no time. Yeah. But I was wondering like why, whatever happened to them because they were awesome.
Yeah.
And I did a little not a lot of research, but I just kind of dug into it. So because Jello didn't really deal in frozen products, it was too expensive for them to ship. To deal with the whole refrigeration units, and it would kill them on that alone. So they sold it to Popsicle, and Popsicle changed the recipe, and then just sales declined, and then they just discontinued it.
Yeah.
So
it's a bummer.
That's a bummer, man. They say, and maybe we could try this one day, but they say you can do, make your own.
Yeah.
So we can maybe try that recipe one day and see if it's brings back the nostalgia.
Yeah. You got a little cottage industry going on the side.
Yeah.
Latch-Key Dads branded Jello Pudding Pops.
We just need a spokesman that's not going to disgrace us 30 years later.
That's right. Oh, man. Oh, that was rough.
Yeah.
Now, this is one I feel like maybe once or twice we had these. This was not something we got like a lot that I remember. But bonbons, I just remember the commercials.
Yes.
That it was like this decadent treat,
Decadent. Yeah. I was coming up, I was talking to my brother-in-law. He gave me the idea about the tasty cakes and how my wife said, oh, well, we used to every once in a great while have bonbons. And I'm like, I've never had a bonbon in my life because that was like super, like, whoa. And so I was like, oh, they look good though. Ice cream nuggets covered in chocolate. I mean.
Yeah. And what's funny is the way that they branded them, that it was like this elite, almost like only a
Grey Poupon level.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was just a blob of ice cream dipped in chocolate.
Yeah.
Not that far away from kudos when you think about it, but
right. Yeah. Now, the other one, I do remember getting these, and like, I don't know the brand name, but it was basically a toilet paper roll with a stick on one side and a bunch of ice cream, or I remember it being not so much ice cream, but more like
orange sherbet.
Yes, maybe? Exactly, orange sherbet, and you would
the push pop,
and you'd push it up, and the ice cream would come out, or whatever it was, frozen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it was basically a toilet paper roll.
Yeah, I feel like the few times that we had them, it would be like we went to the swimming pool. And you'd go to like the snack stand.
Yes.
We weren't lucky enough to have an ice cream truck, but I feel like that was the spot to get them too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So again, not in our house, but, and remember it had like the polka dots.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah. And inevitably they would like, you couldn't help it just because of the heat plus the cold plus paper. That paper was getting soggy and like you were eating some of it, whether you wanted to or not.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that was good.
That was the 80's right in there, there.
And I'm sure the ink they used on the outside was not meant for consumption, but we all ate it anyway.
Dripping down our hands, and then our hands would get all sticky, and that was terrible.
It's good times.
So this last one that I got here, Tim, was, again, an 80's icon when it came to meals, and it was the Sloppy Joe.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it was so common that there was like all these different brands too.
Yeah.
And was it the hamburger helper guy with
the hamburger helper?
Hand?
Yeah. There was the Manwich.
The Manwich, yeah.
Yeah. And this one happened to be McCormick Sloppy Joes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like even school lunches, Sloppy Joes was like every other Thursday you're having Sloppy Joes.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I made Sloppy Joes for my kids a couple times just as like mom was out of town and I'm like, what can I make for the kids?
Easy peasy, yeah.
They thought it was amazing, ground beef with some ketchup and, a little spice or something.
Basically what it is, yeah.
But,
I think, again, the name of it was more fun than the actual food itself.
Yeah. Well, and there's that classic scene in Billy Madison where the lunch lady comes over and she's like, who wants more Sloppy Joes? They're extra sloppy.
That's right.
And he's like, you're scaring us, lady. But yeah.
Yeah.
That was a classic dinner.
Classic dinner.
Yeah. So I know we talked a little bit about some of the drinks, but I do remember. Do you remember Slice?
I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a total recall back in the day.
Yeah. And it was funny too because they had multiple flavors. There was the mandarin orange.
Yep.
There was like a lemon lime that was green.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a fruit flavor, or like a fruit punch or something like that.
I don't recall that one. Okay.
And I only came across it when I was kind of digging around to see if I could find it.
Yeah.
I feel like the mandarin orange was the one that we probably had the most. But it's just funny out there, sometimes it would be like a Pepsi offshoot or a Coke offshoot, and then there'd be these random, unrelated to anything else, soda companies that would pop up and then disappear. And then I don't know if this was in Jersey or if this was just like a PA thing, but do you remember RC Cola?
I loved RC Cola.
Yeah.
That was actually my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't even know if they exist anymore.
That's a good question. I don't wonder if RC. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And then another one for us around here was A-Treat soda. I don't know if that made its way to.
It Jersey. Did not, but I've had it since been living here, and it's fantastic.
And for us, the cream soda was always like the crown jewel.
Cream soda.
Because I think the sugar content in that was much higher.
Is that why it's so good?
And then a bunch of years ago, they basically shut it down because they just they couldn't. I don't know if it was cost or they were competitors were making it difficult for them to make it go. And the Jandal family, which is like a huge the farming, they basically
turkeys,
run all the farms around here.
Yeah.
They stepped in and apparently, if I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they bought it and spun it back up, and now they're making A-Treat again.
Nice, yeah.
And I thought they were using the original recipes, if I'm not mistaken. So
for a while there's this beer distributor in right around the corner from me. They used to have all A-Treats when they brought it back.
Yeah.
The last time I went there, they didn't have any. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What happened there.
I'll have to look into it.
Yeah. See, for me, for a local brand, because this is a local to the area, for me, growing up where I did in Jersey, I think it was called White Rock.
Okay.
But cheap can, with the lame graphics and black cherry. And it was just the best soda, except for the cola.
Yeah.
The cola didn't compare to like Coke or Pepsi or RC, but all the flavored ones were fantastic.
Yeah. And I feel like there was the birch beer, there was the root beer, there was the sarsaparilla.
Yes. Yeah. Same thing, just like A Treat. Yeah.
I feel like my grandparents always had sarsaparilla for some reason. I don't know.
For some reason. Yeah.
But yeah, that was always good.
It was fun to have such a variety of flavors. You know what I mean? Like, because at least where we went, you could grab a thing, like a cardboard bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And you pick 12 flavors that you wanted.
Yeah.
It was like, as a kid, it was like, I'll get 4 grams. You know, you're filling out. You're not picking any of the flavors you don't like. And it was fantastic.
Yeah. Got to get back to that.
I know. We need simple. We need a Blockbuster. We need a Roy Rogers, people. Let's go.
Absolutely. And maybe one of these, although I think this might still exist, in the mall there was like 2 competing malls, you know, where I grew up. Mm-hmm. And one of them was like the older mall. I think I even talked about this a while back when we did our mall episode. And, you know, even by the time I was going there, it was already starting to feel like it was losing all the main stores, and it was just not as popular. But they did have an Orange Julius in there. And I remember the first time I got it, I was like, wait a second. What is this crazy concoction? Because it almost was like a milkshake kind of consistency.
Okay.
But it was really sweet and orange. And did you ever have an Orange Julius?
I have never had an Orange Julius.
Okay. It's an experience.
Yeah.
It really is. Now, did you know of Orange Julius?
I've heard of an Orange Julius. Just I guess the name is fun to say. But yeah. We had Auntie Anne's.
Okay.
In our malls.
Okay.
We never had an Orange Julius.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of like one of those kiosks, you know, in the middle of the walkways.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah. And then sort of just up from that, this mall had sort of these like rolling, it kind of went up a hill. So
really?
There were these like gradual sort of rolling walkways. So as you went up away from the Julius, or the Orange Julius, it was called the Little Red Wagon.
Okay.
And it was a hot dog stand.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, to get a Orange Julius and a Little Red Wagon hot dog, you were living large. So.
I think hot dog stands are a thing here because you guys also have the one, Potsies or Pots.
Yeah, there's Pots. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was another one,
Yakko's. Yeah. Yakko's has been like an institution in the Lehigh Valley. And it's funny too, because like, I feel like when I was a kid, I was always like, the hot dogs are always like really overcooked.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I've really appreciated like the flavor of their hot dogs.
Oh, okay.
And I think they're like special chili sauce. It's like ground up old hot dogs with some spices, but either way, I like it. That, some pierogies and a chocolate milk, and I'm good to go.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're not going to regret that in about 20 minutes, are you?
No, not at all. And it's like, it's one of my like dirty little secrets. Like if I'm, you know, I'm like out for, you know, and I got to grab some lunch, I'll hit the Yakko's, or if there's a Long John Silver's nearby, look out. Give me a fish and more.
Fish and more. I don't know. I have never. Wait, that's not true. I've been to a Long John Silver's once.
Okay.
It was good.
Yeah.
I was like, this is pretty good.
Yeah. I just recently found there's one. It's probably about 45 minutes west of us.
Oh, okay.
It's near Cabela's.
Oh, that's far.
And we were on our way to my daughter's boyfriend's football game. Mm-hmm. And we, you know, all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, we got to stop. I got to get this. So yeah, the fish, the chicken, and the hush puppies. And fantastic.
Nice. See, the one we went to, this was a very long time ago. It was also Taco Bell. It's like
I think it was the combo too. Because I think my daughter and my wife, they both got Taco Bell, and they didn't want anything to do with the Long John Silver's. But I was like, let me inside. I'll ring the bell. Give me the hat. I'm ready.
Get your little paper hat. Excellent.
Yeah.
There was we didn't have, like growing up, we had something called an Arthur Treacher's, which is same concept, fast food, seafood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a lot of a good memory treats here. We got to see now how many we can find, you know.
Yeah, it would be fun to kind of go through and see what's survived and what's been repurposed, rebranded, bought out, respun up, and then no longer available, like the Jello Pops.
Or not.
Yeah. I'm going to get some Doritos, though.
Yeah, definitely some Cool Ranch or Cooler Ranch.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
enough Latch-Key Dad content? Well, check out latchkeydads.com.
That's right, Greg. On our website, we've got a plethora of photos from each episode, as well as other interesting links to content that we talk about on the show.
Yeah, Tim, I really enjoy all the pictures that you put up there, as they really bring the episode home.
Yeah, I guess I'm not afraid to show those embarrassing photos of my childhood. So, yeah, we encourage you to check out the website, latchkeydads.com, for all that content.
Excellent. And if you have a moment, check out our shop page where we've got really cool keychains for sale. If you don't know what to get your dad for Christmas, the holidays, Father's Day, birthday, check it out. It's a cool gift. Tim, did you know that listeners should like, review, and subscribe to the Latch-Key Dads podcast?
No. But now I know.
No,
Knowing is at the bottom.